Ornatrix is the Latin word for hairdresser. Hairstyles are the most distinctive feature of ancient Roman portraits. A passage in a work by the Latin author Festus reveals that these elaborate hairstyles were not crafted using bent wire pins as we do today, but instead were sewn together using needle and thread. Many needle artifacts survive from antiquity. Those suitable for hairdressing are long, with blunted points and larger diameters. It is not the needle that holds the hairstyle in place, but the thread. Today, thread and yarn are machine-made in hundreds of colors, weights, and modern synthetic fibers. In antiquity, all thread was spun by hand from natural fibers, primarily wool, flax, and cotton. For the Romans, wool was the most culturally and economically significant fiber. Textile skills were an integral part of a Roman girl's education, and spinning was considered a respectable, even virtuous occupation. For reenacting ancient Roman hairstyles, I prefer two-strand needlepoint wool. It comes in many shades of brown, is strong, holds well, and is fine enough to blend into the hair, yet coarse enough to easily find and remove when the style is taken down. Needlepoint wool comes in skeins, which the user cuts into lengths. Each length has 3 strands. Single strands must be separated before use. First, unwind the skein. Pick out a length of wool from the skein. Recoil the skein to prevent its tangling. Fold the skein in half over 2 fingers. While grasping the ends firmly, twist the skein tightly until it buckles onto itself. Pull the cut ends of the skein through the loop, and the skein is now safe to store. To separate the 3 strands from the length, pinch firmly a single strand with the thumb and index finger of one hand, while loosely pinching the same strand between the fingers of the opposite hand. Slowly pull on the chosen thread to extract it. The other 2 threads will bunch up behind the fingers, but they should not tangle. Separate the remaining strands in the same way. Ornatrix Needles. To safely dress hair with needle and thread, the needles must be blunt. I find that commercially made No. 13 tapestry needles and tatting needles work particularly well. Choose a blunt needle and locate its eye. For easier threading, fold the end of the thread over the needle, then push the fold through the eye. Knot one end of the thread around the eye of the needle. This prevents the thread escaping from the needle in the middle of a stitch. Next, you will make a slip knot in the opposite end. A slip knot makes connecting the thread to the hair easier. Hold on to the end of the thread as you create the knot with the opposite hand. Failure to do this will result in an unstable knot. Place 2 fingers under the thread and rotate the thread until it forms a circle. Pull the hanging length through the circle. Tighten the circle with the middle finger and the slip knot is ready. It is a good idea to have several threaded needles at ready. To store them so they don't tangle, wrap the thread around its respective needle in a figure-8 pattern. When you reach the knot, pass the slip knot loop over the end of the needle. When you are ready to sew, slip the thread off the needle. Figure 8 wrapping lets the thread unreel without tangling. Ponytails. Smooth the hair into the desired position. Pass the thread around the hair and pass the needle through the slip knot. Tighten the thread and stitch several times through the ponytail. Now wrap the thread several times around the base of the ponytail. Now stitch again through the ponytail and around several times until it feels secure. When it feels strong, clip off the excess thread. Whip stitch panel. Connect the thread to the base of a braid by stitching once into the braid, then passing the needle through the slip knot. Using a scooping motion, stitch together the near edges of the braids. In whip stitch, the needle always enters from the same side of the fabric, either from the right or from the left. When you reach the tips of the hair, to bind the ends together, wrap thread around them, then stitch through several times as you would for a ponytail. When you're finished, clip off the excess thread. Weave stitch panel. Attach the thread to the base of a braid by stitching through once and passing the needle through the slip knot. Pass the needle back and forth through the braids, following a zigzag path. In weave stitching, the needle approaches the hair from both directions. When you reach the tips of the hair, wrap thread around them and stitch through several times as you would for a ponytail. Then clip off the excess thread. Taking down the hair. Taking a hairstyle down is easy, but it requires care and attention. Separate the components of the style and isolate the wool thread and cut it. Avoid cutting the hair itself. To take down tight ponytails, carefully lift a thread or two with the blade and clip. Massage the ponytail to loosen the stitching. Repeat until the thread loosens and you can remove it from the hair. Avoid cutting the hair itself.